All right, welcome back to Seahawks Chat. For those of you who've been watching me lately, normally I stream probably once every night, or not stream, but make a video once every night and post it, and yeah, just talk about my Seahawks. But yesterday, even though I did have the chance to watch the preseason game, I went ahead and prepared for Hurricane Hillary because I'm here in Southern California, so I didn't really make a video about anything. But that's kind of passed, and my whole town's flooded up. Seems as though it'd be a perfect opportunity to go ahead and recap on the Seahawks game and give you my opinion and overall if everything went well. And let me tell you, good news. Yeah, I think everything went well for our Seahawks. So the Seahawks won 22-14. The one thing that I was really impressed with is that this was for sure a team win. This was like as a whole, we played well. There was some blemishes to some spots. We did have a little bit too many penalties, in my opinion. We had about 8. But all in all, I think we played complete. We played more as a complete team than I've seen in some time. So this is actually really promising to see, especially because we have not only such a young roster, it's nice to see our team play as a team and win as a team. It's not focused on one player and having to rely on one player. No, it's a team basis win. I like that. For those who may not know, I'm actually making this video off my laptop. It's kind of a rather old laptop. If for people are telling me I should work with like my laptop for video editing, this thing's made in 2014. So the CPU is already as it is like taking a shit right now because I'm making this video at 6. I mean, I'm trying to like make it as great quality as possible, even though it's a 723p camera. But in any event, let's go ahead and get back to the Seahawks. So Geno Smith, I think he had a great game. He looked efficient. He looked poised, and I know he's ready for the NFL. If he goes and maybe plays in Green Bay one more drive, and he just does the same similar stats, or even just one drive and gets at least complete 60% of his passes, I'll be very happy with that. I think I'm very confident with Geno this year. I would be very admitted and say that I wasn't as confident in Geno in the very beginning. I was actually more of the Brew for Drew camp until I saw Drew Lock throw it 3 interceptions on the final preseason game last year. So, yeah, I kind of went with Geno Smith because it just felt my gut feeling. I guess this is going to be the guy. And he turned out to be the guy. He was great for us. So, great enough to get an extension. He did go 5 for 6. He threw for 46 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Doesn't matter. It's basically a drive for 2. I think he was out for only about 2 drives, but it's good. Again, I expected him to be there for about 5 minutes. He did. Drew Lock, I think Drew Lock played, in my opinion, would have played much better this game than he did last game. But of course, he didn't get to fulfill his game because he got injured on what I call was a low shot from one of the Cowboys defenders. But at the same time, I'm going to get back into that topic because it's going to lead me towards a player that was also involved in that situation. So Drew Lock, he went 5 for 6. He went for 119 yards. Again, I'm going to also mention after getting hit with the knee. Sorry, after getting hit low to the knee area, he actually got back on the field and led the drive for a touchdown. He didn't throw the touchdown. He had no touchdowns on interceptions, but he led the drive for it to be a touchdown. That's exactly what you want in your quarterback. It doesn't matter if he throws a touchdown or anything, or he runs for it. It's the fact that it results in a touchdown. That's good. Drew Lock, I felt as though he would be a great second quarterback, and from what I saw early on, I actually feel as though there's a lot of value to Drew Lock. And here's the thing with the league. It's a quarterback-driven league. So is there something with Drew Lock that we could use out of him other than being a backup quarterback? Maybe. But at the same time, I think Drew is like the best case scenario for a backup quarterback, just like Geno Smith was the best case scenario for Russell Wilson. Also, just like at that time, the best case scenario for Russell Wilson was Tavares Jackson. Those were all relatively decent to competent quarterbacks who, well, in terms of Geno, who ended up transcending his own talent and became a star. And yeah, that's the one thing that I like about having assurance in Drew Lock is if Drew Lock has at least starting caliber talent and can play at a proficient enough level to be starting caliber, then that's a lock for second quarterback, just like his last name, Lock. He's a lock for second quarterback. And I don't think I would even want to consider trading him unless it's a very desperate quarterback team that's giving me a second round pick, or I know the third round pick will be very high to the point where it's a late second round pick. Then I can, in some cases, justify the trade because that's a lot. That's actually a pretty good price to pay for Drew Lock as a minimum late second to third round pick if he plays at this caliber and he stays at this caliber. Now, if he plays better than this, say he goes in Green Bay and has a monster game, just has like a 3-touchdown game, maybe 300 yards. Oh yeah, I think some teams would really look at Locke hard and might even consider a second round pick and would call up Seattle and be like, "Hey, how do you feel about giving up Drew Lock for this pick?" Depending on the team, of course, Seattle's not going to trade him to like the Broncos or a division team, but maybe the Titans. What if Will Levis just sucks ass overall? I haven't really seen much of Will Levis, so I got to go back and see his tapes. But what if a real quarterback team, maybe AFC wise, really needs a quarterback and they have no problem dropping the second round pick? That, in my opinion, that's enticing for the team. I might pull the trigger. I might. But I can't sell Drew for less than a second round pick. If he's going to be taken off my shelf, it's second round pick or at the very minimum a high third round pick. Like very high third. Like we're talking top 5 pick, third round pick. Because Drew Lock has it in him. I was a little hesitant at first, but now I can see, especially this game. I felt the first game he was timid. He was playing timid and was worried about his mistakes because I know he can throw. I know he can throw the ball, and I know he's not afraid to throw the ball, but he's afraid to throw an interception. And I was expecting him to throw an interception regardless of this game. That's the problem with Locke. He's bound to be throwing one interception, but I'm glad that he's finding a balance to, should I throw it now or should I wait and then find an opportunity or just tuck and run, whatever he has to do. I'm glad that now he's being more poised on his position. Now, Holton Aller, I call him Sam Aller. I'm sorry, I apologize, but Holton Aller, Sam Aller, I called him in last video. Holton Aller, I think he was pretty good, for what he's presenting, because he's not really a quarterback. He's just he's not even really more of a guy because he's done success in college. Granted, it wasn't like a SEC level college, but he did have some success, so he can throw the ball. And there was some pretty balls that he threw. I was just surprised that he came in so early because of Drew Lock's injury. So, do I feel as though Holton Aller can stay in the practice squad? I kind of do, only because he is dynamic. He has that exciting Taysom Hill-like presence of fun in his play, but I know it's not sustainable. So unless he really cleans up, he really needs to strengthen his arm. He doesn't have like the strongest arm. He's not like Drew Lock. You can see the big difference between how Drew Lock throws the ball, how Geno Smith throws the ball, and then you got Holton. Holton he kind of lobs it in a way. Is it to the player? Yeah, but it's not. There's not much zip to it. If he can develop the zip and play a little fun, backyardish away like he did, then yeah, I can appreciate him playing football for us. Now, let me get to the rushing situation because this is where Halton actually did shine. So I'm going to start with Halton anyways. He had 7 carries, 42 yards, and he averaged 6 yards a carry. Now, in terms of your quarterback, do you want your quarterback doing that? No. You don't want your quarterback to run way more than five attempts. But in terms of Holton's game, that is his game. He's definitely play action, definitely zone running, definitely he's running. So those are the 3 that you work with. He'll do short passes, and he gets lucky because there's some that were pretty accurate. And I'm trying to remember the play. I don't know if it was to Young, but he threw a good ball, and then the guy just kind of put his hand out and just half-heartedly try to catch it, but he didn't catch it. But it's like if he actually tried, he probably would have caught it in stride, because I don't think he was expecting him to catch the ball. But in any event, I was happy about him. I'm going to mention Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet had a good game. Even though he only had three rushing attempts, he did have 31 yards and averaged 10.3 average carry. That was fun to see. He showed a lot of power, and he showed plenty of speed. And it's plenty of not even just breakaway speed, but he can break away from tackles, which is good. He's slippery. So I like that, especially near the end of that run. Not only did he slip away, he kept his balance to a degree. And I don't know if it was his momentum that pushed himself out, but it was just impressive that he still tried to keep both his feet in bounds. He went forward, and then that's when he swivered out, at least from what I saw. And I thought it was very impressive. But you got to understand, that play was basically his yardage. It was 29 yards, all right? 29 yards. That was that one play. He had 3 carries, 31 yards, all right? So prior to those 2 carries, or prior to that actual carry, those 2 other carries he had, they weren't really much. He didn't produce much. But I also feel, especially this game, Charbonnet is not going to go anywhere. You can see he's a stud, especially the way when he ran that 29-yard run. You can see he's a star, especially if he has the ball in his hands and he can be dynamic. And he's rather big for a running back. I noticed his size, but that's the thing that shocked me was he was still very fast and elusive. Well, he was not very fast, but he was fast and elusive for how big he is. Does play with a lot of power. I do like that. But the thing is, too, is especially the first 2 carries, prior to that carry specifically, he wasn't really getting much in. He was trying to push himself forward into the pile, and it's like, what can you do? I also do blame the line as well, because sometimes we do struggle with run blocking instead of pass blocking. But hey, I think Charbonnet just needs a little more touches. Just 2 more touches, I think he would have shown much more flashes. But I don't blame him. All right. Another guy that I mentioned because I didn't think he was. Another guy I'm going to mention because I just thought he was cut was Talupapa. The reason why I didn't even put him down, I thought he was cut. Like I just read not even 2 days ago he was cut by the Seahawks along with like Noah Gindorf and a bunch of other people. So it's kind of interesting how that they just called him. They probably just called him back up right as he sat down on his couch and said, "Hey, you just want to play one more game?" He's just like, "Yeah, fuck it." So he got 3 carries, 10 yards. That's pretty good for just coming out the couch. Now, why am I mentioning Toalupu first or whatever? You know what I'm talking about. So Tulapapa first. Why? He had 3 carries, 10 yards. Okay? I've been churning and champering and just broadcasting this. DJ Dallas, what's going on with you, dude? I really do like you. I've liked him and Travis Homer since Miami. And I think I can honestly say that DJ Dallas is probably out of all of them, because Charbonnet did show a really good pass block. But I do think DJ Dallas is probably, out of all of these running backs, their best pass blocker. But at the same time, buddy, you got 5 carries, 9 yards, 1.8 average. And I'm not even going to even mention that was your touchdown, because it wasn't your touchdown. That was a setup touchdown by JSN. As I keep watching DJ Dallas, I keep seeing not only is he be really non-existent, he's just replaceable. And it hurts me because I like DJ Dallas since Miami. Him and Travis Homer, they've been the 1-2 punch over there. And they were pretty good. That's why I'm shocked that they're nowhere near to what the levels of Miami. At least like when they were a 1-2 punch, they were really good working off of each other. But it's so different now, especially now with DJ. I wouldn't say age is getting to him, but at the same time, he does look bigger, like not like bigger, but like, like how Rashad Penny was coming in heftier after his ACL, and we had to work him up into losing weight again and getting him back into shape. I kind of feel like that's the way for DJ right now. I feel like he's just naturally just that big, because he does have a wide stance to him. He's a wide guy. But I think he genuinely looks heavier now than he did before. So I don't know what to say about that, but that's what I see. Now, should we replace him? I'm already leaning to the point where, not only should we replace him, but if we cut him, we are saving money now at this point. I mean, whether it's a little or a lot, it's still some money, and we can use that money for better assets that could be used for a trade or an acquisition, just in any way. Now, why am I talking about DJ Dallas being replaceable? Because there's this dude that I just saw today, or yesterday. I think it's Roderick Thompson. 11 carries, 50 yards, 4.5 average, and a touchdown. Like a full-on touchdown. The guy came out of nowhere. He was the real deal today. And he showed up out of all the running backs. I mean, granted, if Charbonnet had about 3 more touches, or if Kenny McIntosh wasn't injured, I think those two would have made a pretty decent to significant impact if they got more touches or touches. But Thompson, 11 carries, 50 yards, 4.5 yards average, especially for a guy that not only have I never heard of, he probably was sitting in his couch like 2 months ago. Like, this guy just comes out of nowhere and has a pretty decent game against 2s and 3s. Again, 2s and 3s. But hey, he's a 4. He was a 4 or 5 guy. Now look at him. He's showing up. That's good. I appreciate that. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm just going to fair warning. Normally, my videos are about like 20-ish minutes. This one's probably going to be much longer. This one probably be like 40, 35. So, just like one of my favorite YouTuber, Floss Carter, says, get your popcorn and your thought juice ready, because we're about to talk about more Seahawks. So as we get to the receiving core, JSN was the guy. And let me tell you, as I keep watching him, especially since he's so good at working on the inside, I'm going to be the first one to say this on record. Go back to 2012, 2013, Doug Baldwin highlights. They're going to run the exact same scheme JSN did with Doug Baldwin. Or even 2014. Anytime you've seen Doug Baldwin work the inside, which is like 68 to 70% of his snaps, his career snaps, Doug Baldwin is always on the slot. He would dominate. And I'm talking dominate in 2014, 2013, dominated in the slot. Played outside and played pretty well, but he wasn't exactly the outside guy. This is how much they would have someone else at the outside guy. I think this was probably by choice for Baldwin. Sidney Rice, Jermaine Kearse, and Ricardo Lockett would rather be on the outside than Doug Baldwin in schemes when I would watch those tapes. And that's what interests me, is that I think Baldwin at that time was still their best receiver out of 4 of them. And he primarily was in the slot. Where am I coming with this? I truly believe in the next 2 years or so, JSN is going to be a top 5 talent if he just molds together and just knows how to work his game, which is primarily in the inside, getting open on shorter intermediate routes, and sometimes gunning it for the middle or gunning it on a post or something, like he did with the over the shoulder catch. That was great. He was coming on the inside, cut through, basically did like a slant and ended it with the go, like ended it with the post, through up the middle, and it was a perfect catch, perfect play, perfect run after the catch. Like, he's the real deal. He should have had a touchdown. I truly believe that stat, he should have had a touchdown. 19.3 yards averaging per catch, 58 yards, 3 receptions. That's great. And again, that one play, I understand. That one play was a 48-yard play, the one to over the shoulder catch. Now, here's why I'm also mentioning Doug Baldwin. There is a specific catch, notably in 2013. He makes an over the shoulder catch. He doesn't run after he catches, so it doesn't seem like as identical, but the catch is almost completely identical. Over the shoulder, on front of a defender, perfect placement. I home run. I'm so happy we drafted JSN. And when I heard him get drafted in 20th, even I was like, whoa, because I was expecting him to be gone, like way gone, at least in like the top 15, not 20. But I'm glad he fell to us. So in any event, enough talking about JSN. I got Jake Bobo. Jake Bobo is my guy, and I already said this in my Will He Make It video. I've already said this in my pre-draft or my pre-game or whatever. I've said this, and I'm going to keep emphasizing this because I already know it's going to already be the case. Jake Bobo is making the 53-man roster. He's going to be either the 4th or the 5th receiver, either or. I don't at all see Seattle releasing him, waiving him, or even flirting with practice squads for Bobo. Bobo is impressive. And I'm impressed because of everything else that I've heard about him in terms of his speed and his agility. But everything else is like an A. Like his agility, it's absolutely right. His agility and his absolute like lateral quickness sucks. It still sucks. But you don't need to be agile and quick if you're always open, especially when you're about 5 yards open and you're actually running in stride and your actual speed is probably like a 4.7 instead of a 4.9 because you don't normally run 40s, every time. So is that enough speed to get away from the defender? Yes and no. But yes and no, because it depends on the defender. But with him being that 6'5", larger frame and being able to actually use his size, he's starting to actually, because that's the thing that I noticed with Bobo in college. When he caught the ball and he did catch the ball and there wasn't too much yards of the catch, it was easy for him to get down. He didn't really fight too hard. These last 2 games, notably this game and last game, once he caught the ball, he is showing some effort. He's starting to fight for some yards. I'm liking that. I'm glad he probably recognized his game and was like, look, I got to clean this up. And now Bobo is really becoming a premier hidden gem. Like I can feel the star in Bobo. I mean, he's got a name for it, Bobo. You're gonna make that famous, make it famous in Seattle. So excuse me. So he had 2 receptions for 43 yards, 21.5 average, no touchdowns. That is not the point. All right. I've already dotted it down. No doubter, 53-man. The one thing that impressed me the most about Bobo this play, and it was insane because I felt like out of all the routes he ran in UCLA and last week's game, I think he ran this one just the hardest. He just went like he took off. This was the first time I saw Bobo use some speed and agility more than what he normally does on his initial takeoff burst on his route. He actually took off with sheer man. As he was running, he was gonna cut in, and it looks as though he was gonna do an in on the middle. This is probably what helped the defense and Bobo get open. JSN was right next to him and was gonna also cut out. He was gonna go on an out, so they were gonna do a scissor, basically a cross route, like a scissor route or whatever you call it. Instead, Bobo, I believe this was designed because he does do a stop and go. Instead, as soon as he does his normal, I think it was a normal 5 up, he turns into his in, he hits, stops, and goes. And this is what surprised me. Everyone says, and I've already seen it, he is slow, agilely, like agility, and just laterally. Like his movements are slow. When he actually kicked off and ran for the goal, that was the first time I've seen Bobo run. Like I felt like he was running. It was his run, and then until he got to about 5 yard separation, he slowed down and then caught the ball. Everyone saw what happened, and then he let the ball go a little bit and then picked it back up for a recovery. But that's not the point. The point is if you study just that stop and go, Bobo was determined. He was ready for that ball. He was ready for everything, to catch it, everything. So I'm so happy he's making it a 53-man. All right, so Bobo, star potential. We're going to go with Tyjon Lindsey. I'm really impressed with Tyjon Lindsey. I already know he's not making it in the 53-man. He has made it in the practice squad with us before, I believe. So I don't think he's a stranger to Seattle's roster. And I can see potential. I mean, the guy returned a very beautiful punt and ran it around. He caught the edge and ran it around for like additional 25-yard gain. You want those returns no matter who you are. You just want those returns. You don't want to just consistently have to down it no matter where the ball goes. It just makes it easier for the punter. Okay, I'll just punt it at the 5 yard. I'll punt it at the 20 yard, because he's not going to run forward. So I'm happy with Lindsey showing up, showing who he was. Cody Thompson. I'm happy that Cody Thompson got his one reception. It was a big reception for 32 yards. For 36 yards. No, I apologize. For 32 yards, but he left with a shoulder injury. Everyone's noting that it could be the same shoulder injury that he's been battling over and over. I was not too familiar with that, but after doing a little bit of research, I was surprised that he has had this shoulder problem for a while. So, that being said, is he worth keeping? Because he's always been in our practice squad. He's always been part of the roster. So he's got to be reliable. And Cody Thompson does flash. Like if you saw that catch, it was an NFL caliber wide receiver catch. But he's hurt, Are we going to keep carrying people on the roster that are just always going to constantly be hurt? Or are we going to give someone fresh and someone else a try? The reason why I'm mentioning this is because look who we gave a random person like Cedric Thompson a chance, and look what he did. He produced and shined. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cody Thompson may not make, at least at minimum, makes a practice squad yet again. But at the same time, I can see Seattle saying, hey, maybe I can find someone cheaper. At the end of the day, you gotta say maybe save a little bit of $100,000 or so. You never know. Noah Fant, he had a nice catch. It was basically his only catch, but it was a very good throw from Drew Lock. Nice connection. And what was also nice is that once Fant caught that ball, he was fast. He caught that ball, turned, took off on the dime, made additional 21 yards. Got it to 21 yards. I appreciate that. Because that throw itself was like at least 7-8 yards. But once he caught the ball and ran it up, primo, 20 yards, 21 yards. Lockett getting his 1 reception. DK did not play. Don't blame him for that. All right. So, in terms of tight ends, Will Dissly also didn't really. No, Will Dissly did get a catch. Will Dissly did get a catch, but unfortunately, this player that I've been wanting to see production out of, I've been waiting for him to get production. It is not his fault because I saw him on the field. I saw him doing his thing. I saw him being a perfect tight end like I would expect him to be. Except all he does is block, unfortunately, when they put him out there. Colby Parkinson. I I really want Colby Parkinson to get something. He had a nice catch in against the Vikings. 1 reception, 10 yards, and that's it. They didn't even try to give him a freaking throwing attempt. Nothing. That's disappointing. And I don't know, maybe Colby is like secretly injured or something where he just is inhibiting himself or it just like is recovering so he doesn't have to go full force or waiting for the NFL. But just I'd like to see some Colby action. I really like to see Parkinson out there and at least catch a couple balls. That's all. That's all. All right. So in terms of the offensive line, I actually felt we did better this game than last game, even though there was a few mistakes and one notable lineman that I've already mentioned before, who I'm going to mention one more time. I felt as though we did play well. But there's 2 players that I'm going to highlight. As I watched the entire game, I could not stop watching how much better they were. That's why these are starting caliber linemen. That number 1, Evan Brown. Evan Brown at center was great. Okay, look, let me just tell you how good it was. Go back and watch the Charbonnet run. I'm serious. Just go back and watch the Charbonnet run. He was the one who set up the hole. He was the one who blocked it, who blocked up front and made sure that his left side was completely open for Charbonnet can run through that hole. I credit a lot of that run from Charbonnet, not just from Charbonnet, from the O-line, primarily Brown. Brown, and as soon as he snapped the ball, got right underneath the nose tackle or the defensive tackle at this case, shifted him, and just created the lane. Like that. I was impressed. And throughout the game, Evan Brown was holding like the entire pocket with some presence, you know? Don't get me wrong. There was times where the pocket collapsed and the pocket wasn't totally sustainable. But it wasn't ever. I don't blame Evan Brown at all. I truly believe this pickup for Evan Brown was a good pickup for Seattle. And we got him for such a great deal. So if he plays really well for us with throughout the mid-course of the season, unless we can find some miraculous rookie talent that we've been scouting and no one wants to mention and we just pick him up, Evan Brown might be worth a re-sign. Evan Brown might be worth an extension. He's already whooping butt. Now, was he whooping butt with seconds and thirds? Well, seconds primarily and some first strings, but primarily seconds. Yes, he was destroying some seconds. But that should tell you something. He doesn't suck. When I saw Joey Hunt out there, I was just having flashbacks. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. He's just not too little. He's just not able to hold the line. He's too small, you know. And I hate saying that to players, especially because any player can be an NFL player in some cases. But I don't know about this one. This is tough for Joey. Joey Hunt, you probably need to switch a different position or team. I don't know. But all in all, high praise for Evan Brown. Another high praise, and I think, and I've already am going to say this on record right now, he is our best offensive lineman. Abraham Lucas. Man, the guy's dominating. It doesn't matter who it was that was out there against Abe Lucas. Pancake push-offs, like pushing him off of the pocket and just clean. Like everything that he did was bona fide stud. He's a star now. Like he's a star. Full-on star. Now, my question is, will he ascend to superstar, maybe top 5 level Tristan Wirth or, I'm trying to think of other, Lane Johnson caliber right tackle. If he keeps this up, yeah, man, he's dominant. I saw a lot of pancakes and I saw a lot of clean right side pocket. I'm blown away because I knew Abe Lucas was good to great coming out the draft. But when he played his first year, he was great. And now he's great to becoming elite, like dominant. He was dominating. If you guys go back to the tape, pancake, pushing players off the O-line, keeping the pocket clean, holding his anchor. He's such a tough, big dude. Man, I'm so impressed with Lucas. And if he keeps this up, I think Seattle has to extend him before Cross. They just have to. I'm sorry. I understand Cross is younger and he might have much more upside because of his age. Not much more, but just upside in general, a little bit more than Lucas because of his age. But right now, Lucas is a premier top 10 right tackle right now. And I love it because we still have another 2 years of him. So I also mentioned Cross. Cross also did look good. I felt as though he did his fair share. He made sure the blind side's clean. He made sure his pass protecting is also top notch. The only problem is that he did get overpowered and outmaneuvered by Sam Williams. Literally got underneath him, pushed him off the side, and got to Geno. What can you do? There's only so many of those that you can get mad at, especially with Charles Cross, because Charles Cross is only 22 years old. Okay, he's so young. So by the time he's 24, he probably will be one of the much better top 15, top 10 left tackles in the league. Right now, he's playing like a top 15 fringe. But that's still better than the majority of tackles in the NFL. So it's good that Cross is getting all these kinks out now. The one person that I have already addressed should get cut and stay cut and get away from my team. And it hurts me yet again to mention this because I love this player in Florida when he was playing and was better than what he looked, much better than what he looks now. And that's Stone Forsythe. Stone literally allowed the sack or allowed the player to get the hit off of Drew Lock. Like, my dude, this is what pisses me off. You're 6'9", 6'8" for sure, but you're almost 6'9" in cleats. Let's just say that. You're 315 pounds, and you're longer than a tree. How can you not stop anybody? That's the problem. He's a tree. He's stone. He doesn't move. He thinks that his sheer full-on length would stop someone, but no. Somehow they just get underneath him. They just get behind him, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. But Stone, I will be shocked if you make these roster cuts from how you've been playing these last 2 games. I am so disappointed in you, and I just hope you clean it up soon enough. All right, I'm done talking about the offense. I'm going to make it quick on the defense because all in all, the defense did play well. I felt as though the defense played as a whole, like I mentioned before. It's nice to see that they're playing along with each other instead of playing off of the scheme. So I don't know how that kind of sounds weird to you. Think of it like the premise, the beginning of the Legion of Boom. They understood that they played on a scheme, but they played for each other. They played as a brotherhood. They played with a bond. I'm slowly feeling that same connection now. And I'm all for it. If we can do it LOB 2.0 or we can make our own other slogan, then I'm all for this. But I'm just happy that our defense, granted, we need to work on our run defense, which is going to probably be the killer. That's what lost us games. Look at the Josh Jacob games. Look at the Josh Jacob game. Over 200 yards. I think it was like 3 touchdowns. How and why? And this is the thing that gets me mad is that in today's NFL, running backs are considered not even mattering anymore. And yet we struggle at the one part that running backs are the best at, running, going through the offense with their legs, you know? So that needs to be cleaned up. But other than that, everything else I felt pretty good about. I felt actually very optimistic about. And also because of the players that are out, that are not even out there. We still don't have Witherspoon. You still don't have Reek. You still don't have Bobby. You still don't have Brooks. You still don't have, you know, Adam. There's so many starters that are missing. And these could be completely different offense. This could be a completely different defense. Sorry, if we allow all this to happen and put them together and fit them in the right pieces. And what I mean by completely different, I mean like a better, like what you see now was great, but we're putting the real pieces in and making a completely different defense and making it like a powerhouse. So I'll mention a few people. Number one, Tariq Young. Tariq Smith. I was thinking Tariq Young. Tariq Smith. I haven't seen much of him at all, and it's kind of interesting because I think we got him out of the 5th or the 6th round, or I think it was the 7th round. We got him very late, and along with Bo Melton, who's not even part of our team anymore, which disappoints me because I thought he could have had a shot. But instead, it was refreshing to see Tariq Smith going in. He got 3 tackles, assisted in four more tackles. He got 1 sack. So, just like I've said this in all my pre-games, if my lineman gets 1 sack, I'm happy. I don't expect much else. 2 sacks is just cream in the cake. So, getting a sack, that's great. Jared Reed, he also got a sack. He got 1 tackle. Here's my problem with it. Overall, I feel as though he is a competent defensive tackle, somewhat competent nose tackle. I don't like him being the defensive tackle. He's too slow. And I don't want to be rude because Jared Reed is a good player. He's not a bad player or an average player. He's a good player. He's above average. But he's slow now. Like, he just moves slowly. He got lucky in some, I wouldn't say lucky, but he got lucky enough because he got underneath the guard, slipped his way in, slight bull rush. It wasn't even too much of a bull rush, and then just like swallowed up the quarterback. But also note this: it's not like that offensive line was a full. That was not Zach Martin out there. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what worries me is that even though we saw some production in Reed, I do feel like he won't be the defensive tackle that we need to make a difference. Now, here's another person that's in the defensive tackle or defensive line that I can see can make a difference, and that's Miles Adams. I've been preaching about Miles Adams for probably since last year, really. He needs more playing time. He needs to start playing and produce now. We found him out of nowhere, I believe it was last year. And what a find. He's like kind of like Poona Ford for me. Like no one talked about him, no one knew about him. Seattle basically picks him up and realized he's a great player. And now Miles Adams showed it. He had 3 tackles, 1 sack, and he looked great as an interior. He literally did. He looked great in the interior D-line, and I think he could step it up this season. I really do. I'm really optimistic on his growth projection, and I really want to see more Miles Adams. Next game, if he really pushes it through, I really have a chance he's going to make it a 53. I have a chance now he might make it 53 just due to position alone, being an interior defensive lineman. But you never know. So another person I want to mention is Derek Hall. Derek Hall had his first sack of the career, and I was happy about that. Very powerful bull rush, pushing in, throwing basically the lineman away and getting the sack. Nothing you can complain about that. I love seeing my defensive ends get sacks. At the very end, I believe it was Jordan Ferguson, my guy, Jordan Ferguson, along with another player who also got a sack. I couldn't remember the name. I'm just going based off of that, just like actually remember the last part of that drive. It was basically a spin out, and yeah, Jordan Ferguson was able to be the first one to wrap around, and then that's when the next player came and just sacked the shit out of him. So yeah, that was all in all. Our defense played well. I need to mention one more player, and this is a player I have been a little controversial about. I got two more players to mention. I've been a little controversial about Trey Brown. Trey Brown, he had a pretty good game today. He had 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and let me tell you, that tackle for loss was very impressive because it showed his instincts. As he before that snap, he already knew where the ball was going to be. He already knew what kind of play it was going to be. Already read the whole entire offensive scheme prior to snap. Post snap, once the ball's in the quarterback's hands, he's about to throw it out to the flat to the wide receiver, and who's the first person there to meet him? Trey Brown. Smacks him, holds him down, tackle for loss. I like that tenacity in Trey Brown. Now, is he gonna be a good player overall? Here's my problem. Yes and no. I do feel like we have so much talent in the cornerback position that no, he would not be able to fully shine in Seattle. But yes, he has the ability to do something what DJ Reed did for us, which is have talent, but be able to go somewhere else and use it, and maybe be a competent starter to, you know, I guess the best corner in the NFL, Sauce Gardner. Since that's your 1 and 2, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. Which again, if you guys actually go back and see DJ Reed, I think he was a better corner than Sauce Gardner in some degrees. I mean, that's just my opinion because a guy like Sauce holds all the time. But in any event, Trey Brown, I thought that this was his highlight game. This was definitely like the game for him because he got a pick. And I'm not even gonna, how do I put this? I can't say this was his pick. It was a pick by him, but it wasn't the pick that he made himself, that he did it. No, there was a lot of assistance in that pick. It was a blitz. Greer ran out to the side. I truly believe if Greer did not hold the ball for another second or two and threw the ball to the same receiver that was up against Brown, it would have been a touchdown. Flat touchdown. Here was the problem. Will Greer hold the ball for another 2 or 3 more additional steps, threw the ball, gave Trey Brown the opportunity to jump the route and get the pick. That is why I don't really like the pick from Trey Brown, because he was technically beat. And if it wasn't for the quarterback, Will Greer, not being that good of a quarterback in pressure, that's where the pick happened. That's why it happened. But in any event, so I just want to go ahead and let you guys know. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try to – I have another idea to a video coming up tomorrow. It might be the same format through my laptop. I'm straight up tell you, my pretty old laptop's like from 2014. But I do have other ideas. I do have other topics to talk about. I really hope that you guys enjoy this video. It is much longer than all my other videos so far, but that's because it's just a lot to talk about in terms of the Seahawks preseason and a lot to look forward to against Green Bay. I thank you guys very much. I do appreciate everybody listening, and I hope you guys have a good night. I'm gonna try to stay safe. Again, my area is completely flooded, so I'm just lucky that I even have the lights on, because it was pretty insane to get today and all of last night. So in any event, you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching, and as you guys know, go Hawks.